the mic out of the way. Looking at the roundup for this month, I was unfortunately not able to read as much as I would have liked. I wasn't able to get done everything in my TBR for the month. Unfortunately, I got uveitis. If you don't know what that is, neither did I. If you do know what that is, congratulations. Very smart. Basically, I just had a weird inflammation in my eye that made light hurt, focusing on things hurt. Basically, if I read for more than like 3 minutes at a time, I started getting a really bad headache and my eye started hurting really bad. So there was a solid week where I just couldn't really read comfortably. So I wasn't able to get a whole lot done. But the things I was able to get done for my TBR list for the month. First up, Legends and Lattes. As mentioned, this is one that I have read before. This is my first reread of it, and it is as delightful as I remember it being. It's a really nice, cozy story about an orc who retires from adventuring and opens up a cafe, meets a lot of really fun misfit characters that kind of come together to make a found family situation around this cafe that she opens. It's a really fun time, really cozy read. What's also really fun in the Q&A section with the author. Um, the author had mentioned how he wanted to write something that was like a Hallmark movie in Faerun. Faerun is the world in which Dungeons and Dragons takes place. So it's very high fantasy, a lot of whimsy in there. Um, but it's just a really down to earth, low stakes story. And it's just a really nice, cozy, fun read. Highly recommend that one. This one wasn't on the TBR list, but I just couldn't help picking it up and reading through it. It was Bird by Bird. Some Instructions on Writing and Life by Anne Lamott. This is mostly just an instruction for anyone who wants to get into writing or even just any kind of creative pursuit. It also just has good life advice, like the title of the book itself, Bird by Bird, is kind of in its own way a metaphor for just taking one task at a time and just sticking to it, because sometimes you look at the whole overarching project itself and it can feel overwhelming, but you just have to take it out one thing at a time. Just do that task by task by task. Celebrate those small wins. It has a lot of really good advice, really good ways to get motivated while also keeping a realistic mindset about things. Again, it's mostly about writing. I have an interest in writing myself, just more of a hobby for me personally. But it's about kind of taking the joy in that, and even if you get published one day, that's not like the glamorous lifestyle that you might think it would be sometimes. It's all about just having realistic expectations, how to form habits, how to form a mindset geared towards the creative pursuit that you want to do. Had a lot of really good advice in there. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and pick that up as well. Next up on the TBR was the Superman and Philosophy. I had watched the new Superman movie, and I was just in a Superman mood. I like reading philosophy texts sometimes, and this was a really nice read. Each chapter is kind of like a short essay written by a different philosopher um, that talks about a different aspect of Superman and how it applies to various philosophical concepts, ethics, moral dilemmas, even a concept of like how powerful it's too powerful of a person until we have to be a little suspicious. It's like, good thing Superman's a good person, otherwise, ugh. The issue with it, I found, was that since it was all written by different philosophers, there wasn't a whole lot of cohesion to it, in the sense that several of the essays touch on the same topics. So there are like 4 or 5 in a row where I'm like, I kind of feels like we're talking about the same thing, just from a different perspective, which can be interesting in its own way, but it gets very repetitive from time to time with it. But it does have a lot of really good insights into philosophical frameworks on such a popular character that is Superman. I'm probably going to check out more in this series. I know that there's also Green Lantern and Philosophy. I'm a big Green Lantern fan, so I'm probably going to check that one out at some point as well to see what kind of philosophical takes can be applied to the Green Lantern Corps, because that just sounds really cool and interesting to me. I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle. The only other book I've read by Peter S. Beagle was The Last Unicorn, and I loved The Last Unicorn. It wasn't until this one that I decided to pick up another one of his novels, and I was very delighted and charmed by it. I have a few issues with it here and there. I do plan on making a full review on this one because it was one of those where once I finished it, it kind of like stuck. It got stuck in there for a while and I had to keep thinking about it. So I'm like, I need to write a full review on this one. But to give a brief synopsis, it takes place in a world where dragons are just everywhere, and they come in all shapes and sizes. The bulk of them are like they're like the rats. They're like the vermin of this world. And our main character is a dragon exterminator who gets hired to just exterminate dragons, but he's treated with the same level of respect that a lot of exterminators in our real world has, where it's like it's not seen as this big glamorous job. It's necessary and appreciated, but people just kind of don't appreciate it as much as maybe it should be, which is kind of a fun flip on things because in any other kind of story, this guy would be a dragon slayer. Like he's taking out dragons, but here that's just like he's just exterminating vermin. Uh, and it leads into this much larger overarching plot that I don't want to spoil because I'm going to do my own review on that one or get too much into. Just know that it is a very fun take on a fairy tale that has a lot of fun twists and turns, a lot of themes of personal identity and how you can break into your own self without getting too stuck on what the expectations of others may be. Being who you want to be as opposed to who your friends or family may want you to be, but taking that step to be who you are. And I did not get to finish it because, again, uveitis, couldn't read for a while, but I was able to take out a pretty nice chunk of it, though, and that was V.E. Schwab's Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I knew nothing going into this book. I love the works of V.E. Schwab. I've read pretty much every single one of her books, and I always love them. So I saw that this was coming out, and I did not want to know a single thing. I wanted to go in completely blind, and I did, and I was in for a shock. I was not expecting toxic lesbian vampires. And those aren't my words. That is how the book is advertised, apparently. I did not know that going into it. I knew nothing about what this book was going into it. It is telling this really, it's a vampire romance with these very messy people that takes place over 500 years. And it's really engaging, really good. I found a few parts here and there that I don't vibe with too much. That being said, though, that is probably just because I have not finished it yet. I'm a little over halfway, so I think that by the end of it, some of my issues may be rectified, so I'm going to reserve full opinions until then. So this is more of like an impression. It's really good so far. If you like vampire romance type stuff, this is a lot of fun. Highly recommend that. But that's what I've read this month. Time now to go into the TBR for this coming month. So I'm going to head on over to that shelf and pick out what I'm going to read. All right, so first up, obviously, finishing Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. Having a great time with it so far. Very excited to see where it lands. Now we got the book for book club. My Beloved Monster. Masha, the half-wild rescue cat who rescued me by Caleb Carr. This was one that I don't know much about. I like to go into things kind of blind sometimes, just for fun. But this one is going to be for the book club, as far as I can tell. It is just about a true story about the author who had a relationship with a cat that helped him in a dark time. I'm really looking forward to reading about that, if that's the correct impression I have of it, because I have a cat myself, and I really like the aspect of humans and animals getting along and being beneficial for each other. Big fan of stories like that because I do think that pets, animals in general, can be such a healing force in our lives sometimes. Now, beyond that, for personal choice reads, I'm going for a theme this month. You see, earlier today, I took a personality quiz that said if I were a Pokemon, I'd be a water type. So we're going water themed for this. Okay, first up, we got The Reef. I like reading nonfiction as well as fiction, and The Reef is a historical retelling of the Great Barrier Reef. I think that'll be interesting, fascinating. I have a passing interest in marine biology and looking forward to learning more about the Great Barrier Reef. Next, we got The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I have been wanting to check out the works of T.J. Klune for a while. Just I see these in the bookstore. I love the cover art for them. I read the backs of them, and they always seem so kind of fun and whimsical. This is going to be the first time checking out this author. Really looking forward to it. Just a quick read of the back of the book. Seems like it's about the main character, Linus, who works for a department in charge of magical youth. And he is called to investigate these 6 children that have incredible magical powers that could bring about the end of days. Um, Sounds interesting enough to me. That seems like a pretty good setup. Love magic, love whimsy, love ocean themed things, and it's by the sea. You can't get much more ocean themed than by the sea, aside from in the sea. So, say a thing, then correct myself about the thing. Remarkably Bright Creatures. Everyone in the book club has been recommending this one to me. They said specifically to read the audiobook. I'm not that big on audiobooks personally, not because I have some kind of stance of like, audiobooks aren't actually reading. I don't think that if you listen to books instead of reading them, as far as I'm concerned, you still read the book, you got the story, you still lived that experience. I just have a very difficult time paying attention to audio. I space out, I can't pay attention. It doesn't work for me. I can pay attention much better whenever I have a book in my hand and I can see the words. That's just how my brain works. So, sorry, if I've heard the audiobook's great. If you like audiobooks, I've heard good things. But this is about a person who works at an aquarium. It seems like there is an aspect of the animals there helping her during a hard time and helping her move forward. That's what I've gotten from the back there as well. And supposedly there is an octopus that takes a key role. And I love octopuses. They are my favorite animals. So cool. Fascinating creatures. Very intelligent. Every time I learn a new fact about an octopus, I'm like, these things are the coolest animal. So anything with an octopus in it, I am here for it. Speaking of The Mountain in the Sea. This is kind of like a horror story, I think, where there is an island of octopuses that gain higher intelligence, and humans have to find a way to deal with that. Either with violence, aggression, peace negotiations, dealing with these now hyper-intelligent octopus, this hyper-intelligent octopus civilization. And that just sounds fun. As I just mentioned, octopuses, very intelligent creatures. So I'm looking forward to seeing a story featuring them being their genius selves. So that is what I have in terms of the TBR for this month. Hopefully nothing happens to my eye again, and I can actually spend my time reading like I like. So that's what I've been reading lately and what I plan to be reading soon. Let me know what you have been reading lately, any recommendations you might have. Very curious to hear about those. Leave those down in the comments and get that conversation going. I know that people who like to read books like to yap about those books as well, and that's a good place to do it, down there in the comments. So get that conversation going, leave those recommendations, and I will see you in the next one.